Guys, please help me out and get me more subs than Keter. Alright, so if you're subbed to him, don't be subbed anymore. Anyways, let's get into the video. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited for Epic Universe. This park seems to combine thrill and theming in the most perfect way possible, and honestly could be the greatest theme park of all time. This park has so much to do and explore, and honestly I think every single land it has is a slam dunk. It's got 5 major lands, Celestial Park being the entrance, How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic, Dark Universe, and Super Nintendo World. Me personally, I'm most excited for Dark Universe. But even with Dark Universe being so good, the other ones are not even that far behind. I think Ministry of Magic could possibly be the best Harry Potter land we've gotten, and Super Nintendo World just looks as great as usual. This video will be an in-depth review of each land and why I think it's great, and overall why I think this is such a genius move from Universal. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the first land. Celestial Park is easily the most basic part of this park. But even to an extent, I think this is a great way to introduce the park. First off, Stardust Racers will be a great addition. I don't know what anyone's going to say about this, but this is a great ride. This will be a dueling Mach Rides launch coaster, and I hope this will be a highlight for the park. As it's not as themed as I would have wanted to, it definitely looks really fun. This also houses a carousel called Constellation Carousel, but like, whatever, it's just a carousel. And this is where they can put the park back in theme park. And no, I'm not kidding, they said that. Yeah, like they for real said that. Universal, that was so cheesy. Overall, I think this will be a beautiful part of the park, but nothing too eye-catching. Anyways, let's move into better parts of the park, starting now. This is what I personally think the best part of this park will be. This land will almost definitely have the greatest nightlife of all time, because honestly, like, it literally has dark in the name. It will be good at night. And the attractions don't slouch either. There's this massive manor towards the end of the park that will have an attraction that uses the same claw technology as Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey at Islands of Adventure. And if you know me, I adore that attraction with my whole heart. And apparently we'll have some Frankenstein and Dracula theme that will also be one of the most intense and scary Universal dark rides to ever be made. But no, this is not all this land has to offer. It has a backwards-forwards launching Mach Ride spinner, which also will be a fun addition themed to werewolves. This part of the park also has a restaurant called the Burning Blades Tavern, which honestly just looks fantastic. It's got the real burning blades up front, and yeah, it just looks like a decent place to eat. Although with how inconsistent Universal food is, I do hope the food quality is great. But yeah, this is probably my favorite looking land out of all of them, and honestly I think this has potential to be the greatest theme park land of all time. But let's move on to our next land. Now, Super Nintendo World is the land we know the most about. This is because there's 2 locations around the world already, one located in Universal Studios Japan, and one located in Universal Studios Hollywood. For Epic Universe, we'll be getting one of the clone of Japan, and on top of that we'll be getting the new Donkey Kong expansion, which actually looks amazing. And yeah, the rides here don't slouch either, yeah, far from it. First you got Yoshi's Adventure, an Omni-Mover ride just like People Mover at Magic Kingdom, except this one will have a lot of animatronics and some great scenery. Then you have Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, which we've seen in both locations, and honestly this thing looks great. It's an ordinary dark ride using AR goggles, or basically VR. Then last we have the Donkey Kong expansion, which only hosts 1 ride. But I've said like 1,000 times in a row, the land looks great, and Donkey Kong Minecart Madness looks like a really fun roller coaster. And you can't talk about the roller coaster without the innovation behind it. The real track is to the side of you, and there's a fake track in front of you, and when the track stops, you jump over it, simulating a track jump. I'm not really going to go in depth about it, but if you really do want to hear more about it, go to the theme park stop anything on Donkey Kong. They do a really good job. But anyways, I've talked enough about this land, so let's move on to our next one. How to Train Your Dragon Land Isle of Berk is honestly, in my opinion, the worst of all the lands. I was never really drawn to these movies, so that could be a contributing factor, but honestly the land just looks a little... I mean, it's alright, it's still pretty good. The one thing I'm disappointed about is that the roller coaster here will be more family friendly, but honestly I do think that works for the park, just to have a family friendly launch coaster. Once again, if you want more details about the launch coaster, go watch like any theme park stop video on it. They do a great job on it, as per usual. One thing that surprised me is that they have these like Gershlower flying things, and like, while it kind of fits, I don't really see Universal doing this. This seems like the type of Cedar Fair thing they do. This is a splash battle, which like, once again, really isn't Universal or Disney-esque. That's more Cedar Fair, Six Flags, and like Herschend. And yes, the Intamin launch coaster will be fun, but I'm not the target audience, so I bet it will not be my favorite ride at this park. But in my opinion, I think the highlight of this land will be the show. It has some awesome puppetry, as we've already seen it in Beijing, and honestly, I bet it'll just be a lot of fun, a good time. But like I said before, I think this will be the more kiddie-ish style land. I mean, it's not going to be a full-out, like, kids land, but it'll definitely be more family-friendly than the others. But anyways, I've talked enough about this land, and honestly, it doesn't look the greatest. So let's move into the next land. The Ministry of Magic is the land that intrigues me the most. Whenever Universal touches Harry Potter, it usually turns to gold, so I feel this one will be no different. This land's location is the streets of Paris, and honestly, they are up to scale. These look beautiful. This land will host 2 attractions, one of them being in this, like, tent thing, and then the other one you'll have to take the Flu Network to. First off, let's talk about the tent one. It's going to be a show that apparently will be attached to the Fantastic Beasts franchise. I don't know, I never really loved those movies, but we'll see how they do it. Once again, there will be butterbeer here, and you can also buy wands to once again interact with Fantastic Beasts. The main frontier will be attached to the Fantastic Beasts franchise, but once you take the Flu Network, it will go back into the Harry Potter timeline. I think the timeline jump will be a little odd because you're going from pretty much Paris to England, and yeah, it will be kind of odd, but I hope it will be pretty well done through the Flu Network. I think the Flu Network is very intriguing, and I hope it's pretty well done using like fire and smoke effects. But yeah, in general, if this ends up just being like a friggin' smoke machine in a tunnel, this would be pretty bad. But let's talk about the anchoring attraction, because this thing looks really, really good. It's basically a combination of Tower of Terror at the Walt Disney World parks and Spider-Man at Islands of Adventure. And it'll be themed to the Ministry fight and Dolores Umbridge from the 5th movie. And yeah, I think this concept is just really cool. This could end up being the greatest theme park ride of all time. And I know I've said that a lot throughout this video, but I really do believe it for this one. Oh, so apparently the Ministry of Magic area is going to be built to scale, which will be just pretty interesting and a big spectacle to be in. And I really hope it is that way. But yeah, this land will be an absolute game changer. And honestly, I bet it will be really fun, because whenever Universal touches Harry Potter, it turns to gold. I think this is a genius park for Universal. The reason for this being so important is because it gives Universal a 3rd park to leverage on Disney's 4, when before it was 2 and 4. And even the biggest line was said in its promo video.
Addition, almost doubling the size of Universal Orlando Resort. This gives us the opportunity to bring people to Universal Orlando for an entire week of the most incredible experiences they can imagine.
Did you listen to what he said carefully? Because he just said he wants to bring them there for an entire week. This is what Disney World used to do to Universal. Maybe you go out and see Harry Potter World because you're a big Harry Potter fan. But other than that, people really didn't stay at Universal for a full week. This gives them the opportunity to compete with Disney, which is usually a week-long park. If people stop staying in Disney hotels and just visit Universal for a day, then this really gives Universal so much leverage on Disney. And with Disney's declining quality and rising prices, I could see a lot of people just going to Universal for a cheaper and better option. And we've already seen the turn of the tide with how much additions have been going to Islands of Adventure, and how Universal's got more people attracted to its parks than ever before. I really am excited for the future of Universal, and I'm looking down on the future of Disney. They really need a response after this, and honestly, I don't think they have one. And at the end of the day, will this park actually squash out Disney of Orlando? No, of course it won't. But they can take a bigger piece of the pie, and that's all that really matters in Orlando. But anyways, thanks for watching, and hit that sub button so I can beat Keeter. Even though he recently just got to 100 subscribers. I was just joking about that earlier. But please just sub if you really like my content. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.